Hello, everyone, and welcome to Generation Elevation Network. My name is Titilayo Ewadele, and I welcome you to today's session on our ongoing series on becoming a journey of a journey of stepping in fully into what you have been called to be. Now, we started this series last week, right? And it was a deeply insightful session on becoming through identity and inner alignment. Our guest speaker, Nana Hawa Indaripa, she walked us through the importance of understanding our God-given identity. Now, not just who we are in the eyes of others, in the eyes of people, but who we are at our core, you know, who you are as a child of God, who you are as a steward of purpose, who you are as a carrier of destiny. And we learned that inner alignment, that's the ability to live and lead from that place of authenticity, from the place of conviction, the place of spiritual clarity, is what empowers lasting impact, is what enables your purpose, is becoming who you are supposed to be. Now, that's just some of the, light bulb moments, out of the so many that that she shared with us. And there was so much takeaways. And I trust that you have been able to reflect, right, throughout the week on all those insights and all those nuggets, right? And so today, we are building on that foundation by exploring another critical dimension of becoming, and that's becoming through process and through preparation. Now, this is such an important theme because no matter the greatness that you carry on the inside of you, no matter how distinct you have been able to identify, discover your purpose, becoming is not automatic, right? It must be refined. It must be developed, worked on, tested, whatever word you want to use it, through process and preparation. Now, sometimes those periods or those things are hidden, they're uncomfortable, right? And it's often where God does his deepest work in us. So today we have in the house a guest speaker who will be speaking to us, who will be talking to us on becoming through process and preparation. Now, our guest speaker today is someone who understands the weight and wonders of process. She's a certified program manager, a strategy and planning expert, a personal development coach and mentor. She has a deep background in public service, international development, and managing consulting. She's a management consultant. Now, she is passionate about advancing and sharing knowledge amongst many topics. Okay, and I'm going to be bringing her on board, right? Even as I carry on reading her profile, right? She has a deep background in public service, international development, and she's a management consultant. She's passionate about advancing and sharing knowledge about many topics, and part of what we are talking about today, including career and personal transformation. She's a committed lifelong learner, and she works closely with emerging leaders to help them steward vision and with depth and discipline. So please welcome with me Dr. Catherine Ogini as she speaks to us on becoming through process and preparation. Thank you for joining us tonight, Dr. Catherine, and thank you for your patience as well, in putting up with all the tech and all the challenges we've had tonight. I feel so delighted to have you here today, and I look forward to all the wisdom that you'll be sharing with us. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, the stage is yours, right? And so you take it on from there. Thank you. Welcome
Thank you
again.
very much. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I'm so delighted to be here. Every opportunity to share knowledge, to learn. I think someone once told me that the more you share, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you become. And it's a continuous cycle. So I love to share. I love to talk. I love to discuss many different topics. So I'm delighted to be here. I'm so excited to share a little bit of what God has deposited in me with our community members. And I do hope that one or two of these things that we'll be talking about this evening would benefit as many people as possible. I believe that this is a seed the Lord will multiply it in the hearts of those who would hear in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Permit me to be a bit religious. I hope it's allowed.
No, please, please, go ahead.
Yes.
Yes.
So, because Christ is the solid rock, is the
Amen.
father of process and of preparation. And I'm going to pick it up from there. Process, preparation.
Mm.
So I would say in my secular life as a program manager, I am born to do process. I am born to
Mm.
have phases, and I'm born to birth ideas,
Mhm.
work with so many people to birth an idea that seemingly looks impossible. And
Mm.
then we find ourselves at the end of the program having a close party,
Mm.
a project end of phase party, a closure event that talks about how we started the journey. And
Mm.
now this is the baby. We have a perfect baby. Everybody wants the baby or the product or whatever it is we birth at the beginning. And that really that's my professional life has also helped me take it a bit further because for me there's a blood line between my professional life and my spiritual life. I try to marry both and use some of the strategy in my spiritual life to go through my professional life. And then I bring some of my professional strategy also into my spiritual life because I feel God is one and He has called me into a ministry through my job. My day's job is a ministry, and I have to show God's light in every sphere of life that He has called me to. So I'm going to talk about process. Process started from God Himself. Just think about it. Genesis tells us how God made everything we see here on earth. And it could have people be made, sea be made, earth be made, let there be separation of morning and night, sun, moon, everything, stars. It could just say the word. All he needed to do was to say the word. And he could say all the words that he ended up using 7 days to create in one day, in less than 30 minutes. He could do that, but he didn't. And that helps me to understand that life actually has to go through a particular process. It doesn't matter how much strength you have for your daily life. Some things have to wait till tomorrow because that's the best time to do them. And some things you have to bring them forward. So God Himself is the father of process, as far as I know it. He's so methodical. He knows when to tell the morning to be separated from the night. He knows when to tell the fishes in the ocean to call them to be the beast of the hand. And he knows when, not because he was a weak father, but because he's teaching us something. And it didn't end there. He made us have seasons. We can't rush the winter. You have to wait, no matter how nasty the winter could be, you have to wait till April for spring to come, sadly. And no matter how much you love summer, it has to end by September. And why is because all of those seasons are important and they have to be unfolded in different phases. And none is better than the other. You wouldn't say because summer is so great. Just think about it. If we have summer all through the year, when I was in some garden this summer and I saw how the plants there died literally because the heat was too much. And I see them in fall, how everything becomes like, oh, how are the mighty fallen? And in January, everything becomes so awkward. And I begin to, I like to see God in those things, in the manifestations. And I ask myself, what is this? It's teaching us something very profound. And I'll just charge every one of us that just wait for that process. Some processes are better not hurried. I'm not here to tell you that you can aspire today and then tomorrow you can be. No. Actually, take time to enjoy the journey. Why? The journey is your preparation room. You couldn't have emerged in the next phase of life if there was no process that allowed you to be prepared for the next journey. And, coming to England has really helped me to see a lot more in the way people live their lives. I see people decorate for fall, they decorate for winter, they decorate for summer, they buy clothes, they shop for this, they do that, and how the dressing change from one season to the other. And you see people preparing hard for summer, ahead of summer. You see them shopping, you see them buying holiday tickets, you see them making plans because they are expectant of those seasons. As lovely as summer is, by the time it's fall, you see everyone bring their fall decoration out. The house is, the decoration changes just so drastically, and everyone aligns. But we've got the 3 months period within which we had summer to prepare for the fall. You see, a lot of our friends will say, "Oh, have you booked your holiday? You wouldn't see this time again until next year. So why not enjoy it?" So my charges, and I'm going to come for my friends, and I'm happy for them to shade me on this. When I say my friends, they're the young people. I love the passion and the energy that we've got, the ambition, the drive that we've all got. But we need to understand process. Don't jump the queue. Jumping the queue itself is not a bad idea. But what happens to you when you jump the queue of life, especially, is what you need to deal with. So sometimes God keeps us in a particular area. I'm going to talk about 3 different concepts that are my personal concepts. I'm still working to make them into theories and all that. So they're still very immature, but I've seen it and I'm going to discuss it here. The first of those concepts is seasons of life. We all have different seasons of our life. Some season you have to have double of them or triple of them. If you're in your season of planting, God is putting you in that at a time to plant. So now that you know yourself, you know your purpose, what are you planting? Everyone has got a seed. What are you planting in your season of planting? I think back in Nigeria, we have specific months where every farmer goes to the farm to plant. So in your season of planting, if you remove yourself from that area where God has planted you to be planting, to be a farmer, and you choose to be a hunter in that season of your life, trust me, you'll come back to plant. You will come back to plant. Or when everybody's harvesting, you'll be left with nothing. And so my charge for the young people is be ambitious, be crazy about your ambition, be passionate, but try to understand the season of life that you're currently in. And how do you know the season? You have to go to God in prayer. It reveals when you're supposed to stop running and rest. There's some period in your life where nothing will be working, and it's okay. You're in a period of rest. God has arranged the rest for you. I think I entered into a period like that in 2017. I told my friends that I have a strong leading to have no goal for this year. And they were like, "That's so stupid. Why will you be goalless in a year?" I said, "Because God said He's giving me rest. That this is the period I need to catch my breath." I didn't know I had a lot of running to do in 2018. So God brought me to a season in that year to rest because there's a long journey ahead of me. In fact, a haul ahead of me. And so He wanted me to gather momentum, to gather strength, to eat, to be nourished, to have time for the things that matter. Because in the next season, I would not have such time. And I would say that was so fondly because I grew as a person. I spent that time pouring into me, learning a little bit, shifting focus from the things I used to have in front of me because I was resting. I was in my moment of rest. And I like that you talked about the last topic last week, alignment. And this leans on that. You can only know the seasons of life that you are in if you are in alignment with God. And you've already identified your purpose. You know who you are. So you know when God is speaking to you and when your ambition is speaking to you. Because ambition speaks to. For some of us are so crazy about our ambition. And so we can't hear tomorrow. You need to be able to pause and understand what season I am. The only way you can get that is to be in alignment with Christ and to also know who you are, because not all of us will be in the same season all the time. And no one tells you in particular how long a season is going to take. And that's why you still need that God. He's one that tells you, pick up your race. It's time to run. You've rested enough. Can we go on the march now? That's our daddy talking to you. And, and if you fail to rest when he has given you rest in that season, when the long race comes in the next season, you're tired and burnt out. And you perform so woefully because you hadn't heeded the call of rest. And I want to really emphasize here that rest is also very important. And it's okay for you to be in a season of do nothing. Let's not just be blinded by the race, the running, the fast-paced life that we're living. There are moments in your life that are meant for you to pause, breathe, fellowship, do the things that matter. Because we all would get busy at some point, one point in life or the other. Develop. That's another thing you do in that waiting room. So when you go into the doctor's office, there's a waiting room. Everyone sits down. I find things that are very lame, very profound. I found a way to find profound meanings to things that are very lame. So take, for example, the doctor's appointment office. All of us are in the waiting room and everyone gets called. You find sometimes your number gets called or your name gets called, but you go in a different direction. Another person is there to just see the nurse, maybe cover up their wounds. Someone is to take a vaccine. Another person wants to take x-ray. Some other person is there waiting for a friend. And then another person is there who wants to see the doctor. And there are 5 doctors doing different specialties. So all of us in life, we're in a waiting area. And we get called at different times for different purposes. What am I trying to say in essence is your process is not the same as your mates. We are not process mates. What God is taking you through, your raw material is meant to produce a finished good that is different from the next person. Don't expect the same kind of scenario. Don't expect the same kind of situation. So your process will be deeper or maybe more very, very lightweighted. Depends on what the vessel you're carrying. So think about gold. The kind of work that goes on before we have this refined, very beautiful gold is a lot different from what you would do with a metal, for example. So we need to get to the consciousness that this process varies, and it actually depends on where God is taking everybody. We are not process mates. We are not on the same level with process. You cannot borrow someone's model for your life. Again, it reiterates the place of alignment, being one with God. So you can find a balance and know when to run, when to actually lay on the floor and be relaxing, even when there is chaos around you. And I remember so many points in life that it feels really stupid. I think in 2022, 2022, when I moved to England, I was doing not great, but I wasn't doing badly. I had no reason to join the Japa movements. I was fair enough, okay, content. Yeah, maybe that's the word. I was content with where I was. But there's this poking that keeps coming to me. Take the next move. You need to be out of this country. And I said, for what? There's no reason for me to be out of this country. He said, you have to move. And I didn't get it. There was even a deadline that before the next election, you have to be out. I didn't have such plan at the beginning of January of 2022. There was no such plan in my agenda, especially to come to England. It wasn't on my agenda. It was not on my radar. So someone that I'd spoken with in January of 2022, and I said, and the person wants to probably leave the country. And I said, oh no, I'm not going anywhere. Nigeria is beautiful. We love it. And all of a sudden, in December of 2022, the person hears I'm in England. It will feel like betrayal. So that's why everybody has a clock. You have your own process. Follow your own movements, seasons of life. So when you're planting, there's another season when you sit down and you're nourishing, you are cultivating. You're cultivating your farm. You weed it out, you wet it, you tender your crop. There is that season. In that season, actively, people out there can't see anything you're doing. It looks like you're just wandering around, but you are doing the most job at that point. Because if you had left it at the point of planting and there's no one weeding, wetting, cultivating, caring, and tendering the crop, probably it won't flourish. And I call that part the grunt work because there's no physical evidence of what you're doing. So you are growing inwards. The preparation is most likely inwards. That's the time you begin to develop skills. You have an aspiration, you have a goal. Now you begin to develop work. That's when you begin to do the blueprints. Now I've planted. What's the blueprint? What will I do in the next 5 years? In project management, we call that the planting phase, we call it initiating or ideating, as you might want it. And that's cultivating and tendering your crop. We call it planning. So at this time, you begin to have a budget for what you want to do. You have a end goal, the end vision. That's when your prayer is most active. You have to activate the prayer at that point. God, give me clarity about where we're going. God, give me people, send them to me. Part of what you're planning for is the resources that you need. I'm not saying financial. Who are your people? Who will stay with you during the grunt work? What's your network like? Who are your hype friends? Who are those who will tell you as it is? Who are those who will be there for you in the rain? Where are they? Have you planned for them? Are you invested in them too? Because life is give and take. You have to invest in them so you can harvest too. And sometimes your harvest will even be from someone you haven't invested. You just do your own. You scatter the seed everywhere. And God brings the one you need to you, where you have not even sown. He brings it to you. The riches of the Gentiles, He brings them to you. You haven't worked for it, but you can reap a very fat harvest from where you haven't worked because you've worked elsewhere. But you can't afford to be lazy. I mean, lazy in terms of relationship now. And many of us Christians, we fail in that area. We fail in that area because we believe in the power of prayer, in fasting. We've forgotten that God has created people to help you, to bring that gift, that potential, to help you, to carry you in the days that it's becoming really hard, really tough. Because doing grunt work is the most difficult thing. I've had to do grunt work that I had migraine, just planning and thinking. My daughter and I, we had a strategy session this morning. I called everybody one after the other. Now school is over. Let's do our grunt work for next session.
Hello. I'm not sure exactly what has happened, but I'm going to stop recording for now. Okay.
Sorry, I don't know. I just lost you for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Say okay. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah, just
Right.
bear
Okay.
with me a second. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So
Okay. Sorry for the break in transmission.
no, it
Yeah.
wasn't a
So
break.
yeah. So what I was trying to say in essence is you need to now have some strategy session Have friends, have people in your life that sit with you, ask you critical questions, help you think through beyond where your mental capacity is at. Sometimes, because we are the people directly involved, we're very narrow in the thinking, or we're very biased in our judgments. So having trusted people in your life, mentor, coach, friends, family, leaders, people you look up to, your spiritual father, to just bounce things off with them. This is the season to do that. That planning season, that planning gates, that season when you're wetting your plants and you're tendering it, you're weeding it out. That is a good time to start planning. This thing that I'm putting down, what's my plan with it? How do I deal with it in the time of harvest? What do I need to put on ground at this time so that by the time of harvest, I'm not overwhelmed? How many people do I need to help me with this harvesting? How far is the next production center if you want to use your crop as a raw material? Sometimes this crop are just our talents, our potentials that will come from just like that, God-given talents. And you see people, and again, what I've found with most of us is we don't like to pay professionals that will help you to go through the grunt work and refine you, grind you, make you become a very well total package. We run away from pain. We run away from reading. I see a lot of Christians going back to the place of prayer when God has said, yes, just go and do it. I was speaking with my friend, as was it last week or two, he said, faith is actually when you take it by the horn. Take the bull by the horn. That's faith in action. Not just waiting till God says, oh, yes, my daughter, it is now time. It won't happen like that all the time. God wants you to rely on him, have faith, have confidence enough that we have agreed this. So this is the next phase. I'm going ahead. I have you, God, with me. Many Christians are stuck in this area. I've heard many people say, oh, I don't want to go to England because God didn't tell me so. So many different versions. And by the time I ask, I see fear at the base of those convictions. I see actually lack of that faith in some of them. Some people are very genuine. They know they are God. God is giving them specific instructions not to do it. But for so many, God has given them go ahead a long time ago. They're just paralyzed by fear or lack of confidence or courage, as you might call it. Because those are the things you need in that process, in that preparation. In fact, the biggest recipe in that preparation room is faith. For a child of God, you need to get prepared with faith, knowing that every day God is with me. We are working this out. We are going to end it well. I'm taking these actions in faith because he has said it. He gave you the gift in the first place. It wasn't your making. He knew what you were going to do with the gift. You don't need to now go and start meeting God per second. Should I go on live with Miss Ewa? Oh no, she's not the one. Or should I go on you don't need those. Just step out in confidence. But you do that. You don't just step out, so you do that in preparation. The fact that you see, and I'm also going to talk about this again in Seasons of Life, because I've seen a lot of copy, paste, no editing, just launch. We do that. And why are we doing it? We're copying some people's season of life. So you see people that have been in a particular field for 20 years who have paid their price, buried their heads in the sand, did the grunt work, who are now out in the public lights, and you're comparing yourself, who are just coming. You've not even done the grunt work, and you just want to have 10,000 followers. How? And the day you post and you don't have up to 5 mentions or 3 people like your post or that, you become really dissatisfied. You go back to God, God, you called me. This is what you say I should do. Blah, 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 blah. God is already with you. The fact you have one person who is your audience. You've seen people that even from their own family, nobody's following them. Nobody cares about what they're doing. So even if it's one person, God is still faithful. and do your grunt work. Give it time. Don't copy, edit, and paste someone's life. Move at your own season. Move at your own season. And within the parameters of what you've been called to do, just think about the anatomy of the body. The eyes is not bigger than the nose. Neither is one finger better than the other. They all work together and they have different functions. As terrible as this middle finger is, it's the only one that goes into the nose when you need a very good scratch. As terrible, that's the kind of dirty job it does. And sometimes we need it. And this finger would always want to wear the ring on it. So just imagine we don't have it. Where do we put the ring? Other fingers? Yes, we can. But this tells you something different from the other fingers. And then the ears, we need every part. So every little part of us as children of God, regardless of the services called you to, are as important as those on the pulpits. I think there was once a period in my life that I think my pastor was trying to get me to teach in church, and I said, that's not my ministry, sir. I don't need the recognition. I'm a back office person. Give me back office work. Give me publicity. Tell me to go and bring people to do something. Give me young people. I'm not in competition on the altar. My job is not on the altar. But many of us want to be seen. I'd rather go to my teenagers and talk to them one-on-one. I'm not even putting everybody together. Call them, check them up. How are you doing? Now that school is over, do you want to grab a drink with me? I'm okay with that. That's my job. I don't want to come and talk to adults. It's not part of my makeup. And he just might say, no, but I want you to speak to them about, if you want me to speak about job, I can do that on evening service. I'm not a Sunday service person. Please help me. But a lot of times, all of us want to be that face, the known one, the one with the 1 million followers, the one cashing out on YouTube. It's all nice and pretty. If that is the line God has destined for you, all you need is to bury your head and do the grunt work now. Take to the process, leave it one stage at a time. You will still get there. But don't go and start copying, because I see that a lot with, I call them ring light YouTubers. One issue, everybody's talking about it. And I'm like, this is already overflowed. We are tired. Please, can you leave us alone? We've heard. Have you seen changes to Nigerian immigration? Blah, blah, blah. I said, it's okay. We've heard. Must everyone talk about it? And all of those is in a bid to be popular. I'm not shading them. I'm sorry if it looks like shade, but just to say, stay on your lane. Know the season you're in. Do the work. Be expectant. Bible says that expectation of the righteous, they are not be cut short. He will take you there. If he has said it, he will do it. Commit to the process. Learn. And I'll talk again about the danger of you not identifying your own season. You will misuse your seed. Just think about someone who has a seed and begins planting in winter. You will misuse your seed. As much as it looks like it's so fancy to get things done now, you can get some things done and you'll be burnt out and you have nothing to commit to the next season that's actually your right season. And knowing your season would make you not be competitive or jealous. You'll be happy for those who are in their season of, being out there, making a lot of moves and making power moves, power connection. But once you do not identify your season, competition will strike and jealousy, even envy. And what works does that bring you? What's the evidence? What kind of fruits will that give you? People that are meant to actually lift you up, you end up being jealous, bitter, and uncooperative with them. Sometimes, some of us are supporters. I need to say this. Some of us were not actually meant to lead. We're meant to support. And by supporting, that's how you shine. Yeah. But if you now become jealous of your leader and you bring them down, it means you have nobody to support. You're going down with them. And what can make you be like that? You do not understand your season. Sometimes it's even the leader that would open up space for you. Having seen your loyalty as a good supporter over the years, will open up space for you. God will reward all of those your efforts, that your loyalty, that support, because that's where He has called you to be in that season of life. And He has planted you as a supporter to that leader to learn. Those lessons are even more important for you than it is for the leader most of the time. You learn, you gain mastery from them. You have the proof of concepts with them. You see them fail, you see them succeed. You already understand the success factors and the failing points. And that's why you are there, just to learn that. And for some leaders who are exceptionally good, especially if God has paired you together, they will pave the way, either they like it or not. Situations will throw you up. And the last one I want to talk about in that season of life is around you reading, committing to learn skills. I think when we're on the Instagram live and it wasn't working, I went to YouTube. What can I do to troubleshoot this? How do I troubleshoot that? I was busy trying to problem solve on the one side. Yeah, I had to, because I felt maybe there was something I could do. I had to go and take little things around to try it out, see maybe this is good, that is good. I mean, during the lockdown, and I still do it today, I learned it from a colleague. She has a skills shopping sheet, She writes down all the skills she wants to learn for a particular period of time, batch them together, and commit a quarter of the year to those skills. And she showed me a brag sheets. I was like, wow, you are phenomenal. And so when I heard when she got to the US what she's doing now, I had no doubt. She was busy preparing even while we were in Nigeria, 3 years ahead. So when opportunity opened up, she was very much prepared. She could take it without having to go under the table and all that. If you see the number of things, the content you even consume online, what are they telling you? If you see your algorithm, are you proud of it? Does it marry up to that end that you have decided for yourself? If everyone were to see you, I mean, I was listening to one podcast today. I so much love the lady a lot, Mel Robbins. And she was in interviewing one, the guy is really very popular, Jeff something, also has a podcast that's over millions of subscribers. And I was sleeping, but I was listening at the background, sort of. It wasn't deep sleep. I like to just listen to those things and relax on a Sunday afternoon. And he said that there was this particular guy who went on Tinder app for dating. And he had spoken to 2,000 people, was matched to his profile. And out of, 2 million people were matched to his profile. Ladies from different parts of the world. He succeeded in speaking to only 2,000 something of them, and he had just one date. And I sat down and I was really laughing. Like, how many hours did he commit to this? How dare you be matched with 2 million people? That's confusion. How do you sieve out who you really want to talk to? What does it take for you to be able to go through 2,000 profiles? Feeding your brain with all of those dopamine that are not necessary, and you are confusing yourself the more, and your standards are being varied, and your identity is even lost in the process, because you see one, you'll be like, oh, this is good, and that one is not good. Oh no, this is, and you have nothing at the end of the day. That's how many of us are, especially with internet, social media, content consumption, and all of that. They don't help us. They don't stack us up. They don't stack our habits up. They don't stack our profile up. They don't stack our preparation up. They are time-wasting devices, time-wasting endeavors. But at the same time, that same social media, that same content, you can curate what you want. And it becomes really helpful. If you like comedy, it's not bad to like comedy. You can go around and filter around comedy and all that. There was a year I committed learning about money because I felt I was so poor with money management. I was so very poor. Anything financial, I just run away from it. I don't want to know about it. I'm not interested. I believe God provided all my needs according to his riches and glory through Christ Jesus. And I forgot that every amount of money God has put in my hand is for a purpose. It was quite very funny how I would believe that I don't need any knowledge of money. How do I extend the kingdom of God?
Mm.
The seed has given me, what do I do with it? I'm just wasting it. So I committed. I mean, the day it just flashed me like, okay, so even as a mom, what lessons am I giving to my children? These young people that come around my way, I refuse to talk about the topic finance because I don't even feel adequate myself. I don't even know nothing about it myself. I just live every day, do normal budgeting, just very light wash kind of approach to money. Do little bit of investment, the one I'm clear about, the one I don't know, I can't be bothered. And just right there, I ordered 5 books. No, I went online to say top 5 books for me to learn about money or to be a millionaire. What top 5 books can I read? And he gave me a list and I ordered them there and then. And I said, I'm going to stack up this habit because I'm going to talk about that. That's part of the preparation, stacking up habits. So I'm going to stack up habits of reading this book in 2 ways. And I'm going to learn to put accountability to this book. And I have a friend who's very good with finance. So I said, I'm reading some books. Have you read them before? She said, yes. I said, good. So we're going to have some conversations around my learning from this book, and you can share your own insights with me. Even if it's once in a month, at your convenience. I'll drop them as either voice notes or chats, and at your convenience, you can respond. Again, I'll take you back to that friends I talked about. Who are your friends? Who are your network? Who do you talk to? Where do you gain value? Who are your roof tearing friends? In the Bible, I think is it blind Bartimaeus? No, it's not blind Bartimaeus. This man, the leper, that his friends had to throw him. They had to remove the roof for his sake and throw him inside so that he could get healing. Who is that your roof tearing friend? Who are they? Do you have in different areas of life? Do you have when you audit your friendship, your relationship? Do you have quality people? Do you have people going the way you're going, or who can support you in that journey? That's part of the preparation. And this friend of mine, so I reached out to her and she said she's down. She's always down for good things. That's why I really love her for that. And I told her, please hold me accountable. If after 1 month I've not finished reading this book, call me out. She said, you know who I am. I will follow you. I said, yeah, that's why I'm talking to you. I know you will follow me and I want to be followed. And what I did was to stack up. That's my book. I have 1 book per month. It's always by my bedside with my Bible. So when I'm done with my morning devotion, I have to read at least 5 pages. I have to, because I have to stack it up, because once I leave my room and go conquer the day, it's gone. And when it's gone, it becomes really difficult for you to keep track of that habit, of that new knowledge. So you have to make it procedural. Again, we're going to process. So you have to establish a process that works to support your dreams and aspiration. You must have a process that supports that dream, that aspiration, that talent, that gifting, that potential, that identity that God has given you. And so I stack up habits. I stack up, James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits, said, you only fall to the level of your habits. You rise also to the level of your habits. So when your habit is down the floor, so you are gone. It's not even to the level of the process you've put in place, not to the level of the structure that you have, but to the habits, your daily micro task management or task bonding that you've created for yourself. Doing a PhD, being an immigrant in a new country, being the only parent with my children, I've got 3 of them, working full-time, studying full-time, taught me the power of habits and the very drastic things that good people can do for you in your life. On the last day that I was meant to submit my thesis, I went bonkers because it looks like everything was all over the place. I had too many words. What's this thing called now? Plagiarism was reading so high. So many things I've gone haywire. I was meant to submit that night. I had to call one of my friends. Not even such a very bosom friend. It was just someone who's been an encourager. I called her. I said, see, I want to ask for extra time from my school because it doesn't look like I can make it. And he said, Catherine, you've got this. And if it means both of us not sleeping tonight, we are doing it together. Put it on your screen. Put me on a Zoom call. And we worked on it till 4 a.m. She had young children. My children weren't that young. So I kept feeling bad because the child woke up in the middle of it, came, she went to attend to the baby. I was feeling bad. He said, you don't have to. I'm around for this purpose. We might not be friends again tomorrow, but now that you have me, use me. So, even my supervisor, it was chatting with me and he said, put me on that call too. The gift of people, it's amazing. So in that process, please, that's how those God's promises, that favor that we all talk about, it just doesn't happen from the blues. People will bring that favor to you, or they will help you manifest it. Something has to happen. These 2 people stayed with me till 4 a.m. that I had my plagiarism check as 4%. Both of them have written articles that I cannot count. So they are very, very, ahead of me in that area. I wasn't an academic person until that time, but they are lecturers. They mark books, they mark work, that just like my PhD thesis. So they have experience. So they were using that experience to help me crash the time. But I was willing to go all out with them as well. Because if at that point I gave up too, and I said, oh no, don't worry, or I become too proud to say, oh, I got this, I'll figure it out. I wouldn't have figured it out. God was quick to remind me, this is the help I've sent to you. You keep asking God, help me. God, I'm helping you. So sit down. Sit down. It will be funny to say that I have not seen this lady since last year. No, 2 years now. It's going to 2 years that we had that. I've not seen her face to face. She's actually not my bosom friend. She just happens to sell things in my area. So anytime she comes around, I try to have a conversation with her. That's all. We're wearing clothes. But I've learned how to honor people. Honor people, be nice, be kind. Honor people because you will need them. So I think I've talked broadly about the 2 concepts, seasons of life and the grunt work. The work we don't all like to do. I think a lot of times admin task, they call it grunt work here in the UK. Nobody likes to do the admin, the finance, the very dirty job, the jobs that are unseen. So part of your process and preparation is learning to do the grunt work, because the grunt work is the backbone of the real work. You fail to file your tax, you will be in trouble. So no matter how much money you've made, if you do not do your tax return, you will end up being in big trouble. So grunt work are easily overlooked, but they are very important. They're the backbone. And in the process of becoming, don't forget the grunt work. That's part of your preparation. And I tell people when they ask you, do you have work experience? That's what it actually means. Sometimes it's not about the big skill you have. It's about how can you navigate very complex, tricky situation. That's when your work experience shines through because you've seen it before, can identify with it. You've seen a similar scenario. So I'm going to talk about staircasing. That's the third. In fact, this concept, I tried it out just yesterday at an event where I had to speak with a mentee. Staircasing is a borrowed word from the property industry or sector. So I think there's something called shared ownership here in the UK if you want to buy property. So you can go by way of leasehold, freehold, or shared ownership. Shared ownership is you acquiring a particular percentage of the share in a property. So sometimes, usually 25%, 35%, 50, 75, depending on your capacity. But what it means is that a particular property, what are they called now? A cooperative society, a building society, sorry, owns the building and they're happy to sell a part of that share to people who can afford to buy a full home, who can, maybe for whatever reason, they can't afford to pay the 100% sum, but you can buy a particular percentage, be 20%, 40%, and the building society owns the remaining share in that property. So you don't totally own the share, own the entire building, but you own a share of the building. And then after some time, maybe you bought 20% share in the property, you could approach the building society after maybe 2 years to say, can I staircase my share from 20% to 40%? So that's what staircasing really means from that sector. So it's a borrowed terminology, and I'm trying to use it to discuss personal development, career growth, becoming generally. A lot of us want our paths to be very linear. It's just a straight line. I start like this, then I become CEO. Boom. For so many of us, it won't be linear. Some of us would actually have to go through a zigzag motion. And it's okay. A staircasing is saying, if you want to be an oil and gas CEO in 15 years, and here you are, a fresh graduate from a very local rural school, and you keep applying to the oil and gas companies, and no one is looking your way. Can you start with working for PHCN? Because it's still a related energy field. Can you staircase from PHCN to maybe one of the, I don't want to call it oil company because they're not oil company of a sort, like Mobil, Chevron, just their sales outlets. I'm not saying the powerhouse. Can you from the sales outlet go on to work for maybe TCN, Transmission Company of Nigeria, for example? Can you from there staircase just a little bit, finding your way, going up the ladder in gradual movements, but in a related area, staircasing gradually, finding your feet, looking for people within those industries to lean on or to glean from. So this, my mentee, came to me yesterday frustrated. He said, oh, Catherine, the last time we met, you told me to dream. I've dreamt. It looks like the dream is impossible. I allowed him rant and all that and all that. I've prayed. I've done this. I said, when I was sending you over, I didn't tell you to go and pray. You were clear about where God has given you. I didn't send you to go and pray. I told you to go and do grunt work and to look for people in that sector that can help you. Say, oh no, Catherine, you need to see, he brought his phone and showed me all the messages he's been sending to different people on LinkedIn. And I said, oh, well done. You actually are messaging people who are CEOs and executives. They don't have your time. And you're asking them for a job they can't give you. And so I used the staircasing model to talk to him yesterday to say, okay, so I'm sending you from here. Can you look for somebody in any of this related industry or company? It doesn't have to be the big companies, SMEs, very small ones, those ones that are not so busy. Tell them you want to learn about their sector. Don't tell them you're looking for a job. You have a job at the moment. Keep your dream alive. But can you use them to learn? Because you don't even if you're called for an interview today, there are 100% chance you fail. Because you don't even know what they do there. You just have an aspiration, you have a dream. And you went ahead to communicate with the CEO. What do you want him to do? And most of us do that because dream big. We've been told to dream big, and I'm not discouraging everybody from dreaming big, but I'm telling you that your path might actually be a staircasing one. And if it comes to you as staircasing, please embrace it. That is still part of the process. That's still part of, the growth, that preparation. By the time you see your life from each of those steps and staircase, you become such a sought after person because you are so rich in knowledge. People would see the footprints of where you've passed and they are wowed. The amount of wisdom that comes from you, plus the wisdom of God that you already have, that's your backing. And all of those places your feet are stepped into, when they give you that role, you've earned it like 100 times. You speak like authority. You embody it because you've envisioned it a long time. You've committed to the work. We see a lot of people who rise up and, behind their backs, their subordinates are laughing, shading them because that there's no substance to them. You pay for sessions from people that are so well acclaimed to be this and that, and then you go into those sessions like, so why are you people paying this much? I didn't gain much. It was just blabbing. Let's not run away from staircasing. If that's an option, it could be your process and preparation. And if God has blessed you enough that you have a linear path, good for you. We are happy for you. Go for it. Be confident. So those are my 3 concepts. But I'll give you also some things I called the soft skills for your process. Honoring people. Honor. I can't even say it. I can't say it the number of times I'm supposed to say it. Honor people. Honor your own process. Honor your journey. Honor yourself. It is a virtue. It will open door for you. Honor institutions. Honor the laws of the land. Honor everything around your own journey. Where you are at the moment, honor yourself. Respect yourself. And bestow the same level of respect. Once you do that, you're not honoring them, you're honoring yourself. When you honor people, you're actually not honoring them. You're honoring God and yourself. You're actually doing it for you rather than for them. Because it's so rare for you to have given so much honor, respect, and dignity to somebody, and it shades you and just drags you like that. They will think twice. Even if you eventually would do that, it would think twice and feel a sense of guilt for doing it, if at all. Honor even people beneath you. People beneath you. People whose stories are yet to unfold. People whose journey has not even started. Those below, rock bottom. Children. Honor everybody. It's not about who they are or what they carry, but for the grace of God in your own life. Honor people. So I would say honor is my number 1. Number 2, go and learn communication. A lot of us are unable to go through a process because of frustration. And some of this frustration can be discussed, or we don't have the skills to engage, to communicate in a way that issues become resolved. We rather come with agitation, we come with frustration, rather than come from a problem-solving perspective. So people can listen to you. Don't be a complainer. Don't whine. Don't whine. Be the solution. And if you cannot be the solution, help people to ask the right question that can point them. So communication is another underrated skill. In fact, I think that's the one skill that can make you jump many processes. And when I say communication, I don't mean just verbal. The non-verbal cues. When you get into a room, what energy do you bring there? Are people delighted to see you? Are they happy to work with you? Do you leave a lasting impression on the minds of the people that have crossed your path? What do you talk about? There are some rooms you don't talk vain things. Even if they are saying the vain thing, you have to refrain. What does the word that comes from you do? I think for like a month, my teenage church, we were just learning one Bible verse. Let the words that come out of you minister grace and edification unto the hearers. For 1 month, I just wanted it to sink. Every time I just asked them, what has God told you about this? What word do you say to people? Is it seasoned with grace? Does it minister anything? Does it lift people? Or do you trash talk? You know, the thing people say, I'm so very honest. Is your honesty tearing people down or building them up? Are you kind in your honesty? Say, I'm very blunt, or I say it as it is. Yes, it's good. But are you using it to poison others? Who are you? When we take your word without seeing you, who is that person? In your emails, are you reasonable? So I'll say number 2 is communication. The third one is confidence. Wear it like a cloak. Even when you are yet to know everything, you don't have a big picture yet, you are still learning. Be confident. And you know, people misunderstand confidence as being arrogant. Confidence is actually very humble. Confidence will tell you, oh, sorry, I've never heard that word before, but what does it mean? Are you happy to let me into it? I went for an interview back in Nigeria. I was interviewing for jobs in the UK, and I was meant to work on a digital package. And they mentioned the name of the health package as Epic. I've heard it before in the US, but I don't really know what it means in detail. My friend told me about it, that would I be interested to come work in the US on that Epic program. And so these people told me, what do I know about Epic? As part of the interview question, I'm like, well, that's new to me. I'm not into tech. I do project management. I'm not a tech person, but I've heard this thing before in America. This is what it means for them. Is it the same as yours? Please tell me about your own. And one of my friends, I usually would do this with some of my friends that struggle with interview, to come sit in when I have mine, to just listen. And she said, I have never seen someone so confident about what they don't know as you. I like you. And I got the job. That's why I felt I didn't know nothing about it. So confidence is also you honing up to your weaknesses without thinking that would mar you forever. Because you're not expected to know everything. Don't blab, don't fumble, don't lie. Own up. This is my limitation, but I'm happy to learn. Take me through this journey with you, and I'll do it well. Say it confidently. There's no big deal about not knowing everything, because nobody knows really. If I also ask them one thing about what I worked on, they don't know really. The difference is, are you happy to learn? Are you willing to learn? Do you now cow in because you don't know? And that's part of that your preparation. Learn. You can learn confidence. You can, all the things I've talked about, you can learn to honor people. You can learn communication. You can learn to be confident. These are things you should focus on in your preparation as you go down that process. Those are the things that you need across different sectors, in ministry, in secular life, in parenting. We need all of those skills. And last but not the least is self-development. Self-coach yourself. Learn. Be curious about life. Curiosity is one thing that you can't get bored of. Be curious. Don't just say I'm a doctor, so it's only medical things I know. How about law? Just for knowing sake. How about sometimes I even ask questions about Buddhism. What do they even believe? What do they believe? Islam, what do they believe? I don't want to be ignorant. Tell me. Pitch this your God to me. Let me hear. So those are things we should focus on when we are developing and preparing for that next level. And at each process, take it one day at a time. That phase, concentrate on it. Am I planting? Am I harvesting? Am I tendering? Where am I? There was a question asked in my church about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was an open Sunday, and they asked the question. I said, my answer is actually not so conventional. Not a child of God, but I am. But my answer is so different from all of you. I said, okay, tell us what your answer is. The question was, there's a lady who was struggling to be, and she's being stressed, people are home, pressure, blah, blah, blah. What should she do? The right person isn't coming. And I said she should focus on herself because she's in a season of life that God wants her to prepare for the future. So she go and focus on all the things that she would need that married life much later, because she's got a time now. See that face. Can she go and submit to actually identifying what God at this point? And that's how we are, most of us. At different seasons, God wants you to activate a new you, go to a new level, so that you can move from that phase to another season. But if we fail to learn the lesson in that phase, in that season, we might remain there for longer. Rather than agonizing about it, rather than getting traumatized about where you are, or about your process, about your phase of life or your season, learn what is important for the next season while you are there. So I think I will close with that and leave it to maybe throw up some questions or comments as the case may be.
Wow, thank you so, so much, Dr. Catherine. Wow, that was incredibly rich. And already I can feel the weight of what you have shared, the kind of truth that doesn't just inspire, but transforms when applied. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so kindly.
Welcome.
Yes, I have one or two questions, that I want to ask. And even after now, if people have questions, then, I can take them and we can respond to them. When you started, you were talking about God being, he's a father of process, he's a father of times and seasons. And we just, because that's what has been laid out for us, that's life. So we shouldn't jump our season, walk through those seasons. Now, how can someone discern, right, the difference between a waiting season? So we have times and seasons. There are seasons when we are waiting. For example, the lady was trusting God for marriage and it was like, go and develop yourself. This is your waiting season, go and develop yourself. How can you then differentiate between a waiting season and wilderness of delay? So what do you do in those seasons? Delay, I know delay can be from God, but what I'm saying is your waiting season and a wilderness of delay. Does it differ? If it differs, how do you do it? How do you even know that this one is waiting or this one is delay? Delay, you should have gone forward. That's what delay is.
Yeah, so I'll answer that question with a scripture that says, all things work together for good for them who love God and those called according to his purpose. Even if it was a delay, I believe that in the end, all things will still work together for good. So there's this song I like to sing when I'm really down, It says, while you wait, you might have to wait in the rain. And you know what it means to wait in the rain. So sometimes even the waiting feels like delay.
Yeah.
It's actually delay sometimes. But in the end, all things work together for good to them who love God. But again, saying that alignment we talked about, we help you also discern. Alignment brings about clarity. Alignment and identity brings about clarity. God is the God of that season. He will tell you. A lot of times we feel it, but we deny it. We know it, but we deny it. So when you're in your waiting season, you actually know that this is a waiting season. But sometimes we feel pressured by external forces to convert it to delay by ourselves. External pressure will make it become delay for us. So also some delay. If you are a child of God, He will speak to you that this one is not normal. You feel that unease within you. When you are waiting on God, He gives you calm and peace. Regardless, I will still say, prepare even in your delay. Keep preparing. Do the grunt work in that delay. In the hope that everything will still work out well. So when we get to the other side, what have I taken from this my season of delay? So that when we begin to have accelerated progress, I'm not crashing. The worst thing that can happen is for anybody to experience delay. And when God is ready to give you acceleration, you crash land. You've seen people that they will just rise. And then they get to the top, maybe in their career, just crash. So for me, I would still say I choose to be ignorant to the point of thinking that delay will still end up in testimony. And so while I'm still being delayed, I'm kept in this space because I believe that even no matter how bad the situation is, God has permitted it to happen.
Thank you very much.
If it has happened, God wants it. Yeah. So that's my response to that.
Thank you so much. So whether it's a waiting season or wilderness of delay, it's on God's radar. So what you need to do in that season is the seasons of life, knowing what season that you're in. And you talked about the grunt work. Do the grunt work. Whether waiting season, whether you're being delayed, whether you should have been a CEO and you are still the clerk, seasons of life, grunt work, and staircasing. So staircasing is, start depositing, taking little until you're building. So what you're doing is you're staircasing, you're building. Thank you so much. I like one of the things that you talked about. We're going to wrap up very soon. Is that in the season of, in where you're doing the grunt work, right, is having the trusted people. And I think that's where a lot of people feel where they're not talking to people or they're not carrying people along. They don't have a system. There's no process. And the one that really pains me when I say that I feel really sad about, and sometimes I don't know how much I can put it out there, that it doesn't look like, oh, are you asking us to come and pay? Is even in the younger generation is running away from paying. They want free. There's just this altruistic thing where, apart from feeling entitled, oh, it has to be pay, somebody should pay me. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? People don't want to pay to develop themselves, to grow themselves, forgetting that those people that you see out there who are thriving and all that, you'll be amazed and even shocked at how much has gone into their own development. So it can't be for free. And if it's going to be for free, not everything. So you can buy, if you want free, maybe you're looking at peanuts. People say, oh, it's free, it's fine. It's peanuts. But when you want the depth, the I don't know how to put it. You need to pay for it. There's this course, right? There's this
Premium
course.
products premium product come really expensive.
I
So
know.
if you want premium, you pay for premium.
I know. There's this program where the man is a billionaire, right? And he hosts this program. In fact, to be selected for the program, in the program, there is no recording, right? There is no replay. And the amount of money, if I mention it, it will look like, oh, what is it teaching? But he's a billionaire. You are the one that you are the one who wants something from him. And if you see the people that are enrolling for that program, I'm saying there is no replay, there is no recording, right? So if you don't attend live, that's it. And you are the one that went to pay your money for it. So sometimes I see, the responses that people have, and you're just there. So what I'm saying to our audience is, if you're one of those people who think, oh, I don't want to pay, it has to be free, please have a rethink. Have a rethink. If you want the depth, if you want to go that far, if you want to become, there is a place for paying for, professionals grooming you, coaching you, mentoring you, and that's how you can become original. Because if you go to somebody's platform, you can just copy and paste. But if you want to be who God has called you to be and become, then there has to be a different strategy. I mean, we could go on and on this. There's so much on becoming through process and preparation. Thank you so kindly.
Yeah. Sorry, just one last word that the Lord has just dropped in my mind is avoid shame. Shame is also a device that would not, is a device of the devil to keep you in a particular phase of life. Don't be ashamed. There's no condemnation for them who are in Christ Jesus. Don't let shame keep you away from people who can help you, who can support you. Just know that all your shame is nailed to the cross. Take away that veil of shame that the devil likes to wear us. Veil of shame, of guilt.
Can you talk a bit more about that shame? Because
Yes.
sometimes people, it's like they're ashamed to so what I hear you saying is they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to open up and say what their situation is. Christ despised the shame. And anyone who is feeling ashamed, you need to come out of it. So I just wanted to speak a bit more about what that shame is, because some people just think, oh, no, shame. Just speak a bit more on that.
Yeah, so at one point during the lockdown, I volunteered for mental health support for people, and I was working with people who are suicidal. People who are suicidal, people who have sleep difficulties, and people who have panic attack. Those were my specialty at this point. What came across board was that many of them were ashamed. They had shame or guilt about something they didn't do or something they did and didn't work out. And I just find that that's a decoy by the devil to keep you trapped. It keeps you, and we also have this shame culture. We shame talk people. We guilt trip people too much. And that's why some people can't be vulnerable, because other people that they would have want to come into their lives would actually shade them, shame them, because of what they've not done in the past. But the truth is, you either carry the bag of shame and end up in defeat, or just exposed to shame. I tell people, how long will rumor last? Whatever it is I've done in this life, no matter how bad it is, let it come to the open. Let everybody be aware of it. How long can it last? Another person will surpass that my heights. It's just a matter of days. Someone else will do something even more damning than what you've done. And you see, when you even come out to openly express it, it makes it difficult for the people who want to go and dig your dirt to come and, blackmail you or shame you again. And they said there's no shame for the shameless. Let's try to embrace a bit of shamelessness especially around issues that are very important to our future, to our destiny. The devil always wants shame around that, so that it keeps you in bondage. There's no condemnation for anyone in Christ Jesus. Let's go of that shame and guilt. You don't need to tell everybody your story. A friend came to me about a relationship that broke down last week, and then she needed to move away from the house and all that. And I told her, don't go telling everybody. You've told me. Stay and do the grunt work of mending your broken heart. And don't be ashamed. Those people in their husband's house or with their spouses are going through even more terrible time than you, but they won't come to tell you. So don't feel like it's perfect on other sides. And don't go about talking to, because it's not everyone that needs your story. And that is where the discernment is very important. You have to get to the level that you are attuned to the level of discernment to know who to talk to about a particular thing going on in your life. The fact that I'm a career coach does not make me privileged to your marital issues. I might not be able to handle it. The fact that I'm your pastor does not mean I need your financial details. I might not be able to handle it. And that's why, again, we say, go to a professional. If you are feeling shame or guilt, speak to a counselor in that area. They will help you manage the shame rather than carry the bag, the load. That load is too heavy. God is saying, drop shame. Don't carry it around anymore. Embrace the freedom in Christ Jesus. Let them talk about the things that have happened to you and leave them to go blameless. As if there's anyone without blame. We all have one thing or the other to be ashamed of. If I tell people, if you dig people, you'll find all sorts. Don't even bother digging, because we all are not clean totally. Everybody's got one thing or the other in the corner. We've got different insecurities we are dealing with, and that's what makes us human. And so embrace your own journey, embrace your own story. Tell it even as a form of vulnerability. Vulnerability is safety, is security. It's not a sign of weakness, it's actually a strength. And once you let go of that story, you are relieved and you can become who you are. Sometimes you will be in a particular phase because you've not dropped the load. Drop the load. Every weight that easily beseech you, drop it at the feet of Christ. Let God take that for you and you'll be free.
Thank you very much for speaking to that. So to our listeners, to our audience, we have been talking about becoming through process and preparation. And just now, Dr. Catherine talked about despising the shame. And that's because in your process, in the journey of becoming, right, there's so many things that we go through. And one of the schemes of the enemy is using shame. There's a shame culture in different cultures, and that shame could hold you back from becoming in your process, in your preparation, even in discovering you, in your identity. In my coaching, and sometimes you see people say, oh, I know who I am. I've discovered myself. But you can see from the decisions they are making, from the things that they are doing, that they do not know who they are. But I see that they find it shameful, right? Particularly depending on how far they have gone or in their age, to say, you don't know who you are. Hey, no. Whatever stage you are, whoever is listening to me now, if you're not sure, it will be better to stop now, right, and rediscover rather than carrying on. Rather, it doesn't matter rather than carrying on where you are, it would be good to say, let me go back and check. Because if truly you're on the wrong path, it gets worse along, down the trajectory. So what are we saying? We are speaking to the people now who are feeling that. Forget whoever is throwing shame at you. Leave them to their own devices. But for you, you owe yourself that responsibility to say, shame is not for me. I'm going to despise it, which means I'm going to put it away. Whatever they are throwing at you, you discover yourself, identify yourself. And what I have found is, if you know who you are, right? If you have found out yourself, your identity, like we talked about, inner alignment, you will begin to understand your season. You will be willing to do the grunt work, like Dr. Catherine has talked about. You will be willing to develop yourself. You will not feel ashamed anymore. That's what I have discovered. If you know who you are and you're ready to take that on, you will not feel ashamed anymore. If I know now that, I am supposed to be helping people, why would I feel ashamed about it? It's better to, so what we're looking at is better now to identify who you are, wherever you are in the stage of your life, right? Begin to work on yourself, inner alignment, and that process. So understanding the seasons of life that you're in, begin to do that grunt work, and then start out by staircasing. Do you see? So I want to say thank you, everyone. It's been a very enlightening, a very deepening work. I wish we had much more time. We're going to put Dr. Catherine's handles, right? And whatever contacts that she'll be willing to share with us in the comment box on whatever platform you're watching from. So whether YouTube, Instagram, right? So that if you want to reach out to her, she's a career coach, right? A personal development coach as well. So feel free to reach out to her. And thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Catherine. It's really been very enlightening.